Hello everyone, Oliver G here of the Earful Tower podcast. If it sounds like I'm smiling, it's because I am. This is going to be a sun-dappled, beautiful, colourful episode, not about Paris, but about the French Riviera. That's right, I've been down there on the Côte d'Azur with my wife, Lina, who's going to show up in a second, and we have been exploring a part of France that has been super famous for centuries and centuries and still holds the charm. The idea is we were down there for a month, the whole month of April, a perfect time to visit, and I wanted to put together a sort of mini-series on that part of the world for you guys to discover as well. So what you're going to hear is me and Lina giving you a sort of a broad overview of what we did in the form of 5 golden rules for visiting the French Riviera. If you've never been, there'll be something for you. If you've been a lot, there'll probably still be something for you in there. But the idea of this episode is just to scrape the surface and to help you scrape the surface too. Here comes some original music from Press Maxim with a very Riviera vibe. Take it away, Prez. That was Press Maxon, and this is Lina Norton-G. Hello.
Hello.
Are you also excited?
Very. I can't wait to talk about this.
Well, let's start with that song. Press Maxon. He's written here, to celebrate the south of France, it's my interpretation of the song Comme Ça by a band called South of France. Fitting. In the longer version of the song, I've worked in a little nod to the tune The French Riviera by Isabelle Antonin. More than anything, I'm trying to channel the sun and a refreshing drink, because where I am currently, it's still only cold and rain. Boo. Cold and rain, boo.
Not for much longer, no. I'm sure.
But beautiful music, Press, as always. If you're a Patreon member, by the way, check your post boxes soon, because we've made that CD from the Countdown season. It'll be with you soon, but more on that later at the end of the episode. Riviera. Maybe we start with a quick definition and then we talk about our connection to it and what we got into before we go through these golden rules. The definition, there isn't a definition.
A definition, it's, like a word.
It's
the Riviera, the coastal line.
Literally, Riviera is Italian word meaning coastline or coastal. The reason there's an Italian word right next to Italy. Romans were all through that area. This history goes back 2,000 years, beyond. But I think most people who think of the Riviera and the history of it are going back 100 years. Yeah,
I think we all kind of connected with the 20s, you know, the creative
the last
crowd,
20s, the last 20s, not these 20s that were. Isn't that crazy?
I know.
The jet set, slightly before that, there were a lot of people around Europe would go down there for health reasons.
A health binge.
Yeah, to get out, to escape tuberculosis, find the sun. Then we went, after the 20s, we went through this golden Hollywood kind of age where all these films were being shot there.
And that's what is iconic to me.
And the literature, I think you're going to get onto as well. Not to mention the art.
Oh.
So
there's so much to talk about.
And we're going to gloss over some of it. But first, when I said there was no definition to the Riviera, I mean geographically. Everybody sort of has a different definition of how far it stretches. Like, is Marseille part of it? Maybe, maybe not. It stops at a certain point for everyone. I like that too. That adds to the charm. But for us, we're focusing closer towards Nice. We spent all of April in Antibes, which we'll talk about more in a second. And that was a perfect place to stay. But like I said, more on that in a second. Where does your story with the Riviera begin?
Well, my obsession with the Riviera begins when I was about 15 and I watched a movie, Bonjour Tristesse, the movie adaptation of the book with the same name by Francoise Sagan. And it is about this young girl. I'm sure a lot of people know what I'm talking about, but it's Jean Seberg in the main role. And she's playing this young girl who lives in Paris with her, the playboy dad, I guess. And they go down to the Riviera to live the good life. And it's very glamorous. It's, 50s, 60s kind of style. Everything's bright, colorful. It's just lovely. And I've been hooked since.
So this is, for people who've listened to this show for a long time, will be drawing parallels between this and the debutante divorcee.
No, not again.
No.
I cannot escape this.
Your literature, your reading list.
It goes back to when I was 15. That's
Yeah.
where that was my reading year.
And that book, she wrote that when she was crazy young.
I think 18 or something.
Yeah, published when like bestseller, changed.
Incredible.
Yeah. This is a good point. I just thought of it on the spot, but this episode should come with a reading list. Because when we were down there, we both read. I read that book, but I read maybe 5 or 6 books about the area, written in the area,
Yeah.
and I can highly recommend people read them while they're down there.
Yeah.
These kind of books.
It's great.
Okay, so that's where it started for you. I don't know where it started for me.
When did you first go?
I
to the
went
Riviera?
when I went there when I was backpacking around Europe, like a typical Australian. I must have been 21 or something like that, and we stopped in Cannes and Nice.
And what did you think about it then? Do you remember? Were you like, this is the best, I need to come back?
Yeah, I
Or-
remember I really liked it, but when, especially in Australia, a lot of youngsters backpack like that, and you just see so many things that it all really blurs into one. And so you're constantly charmed, constantly awed by things. But
but I guess also as a young backpacker from Australia, like maybe you didn't have a lot of references, you know, you didn't know the history perhaps, so it didn't mean as much
Yeah,
to
plus
you.
I would have stayed there, like really, it would have been a day or something.
Yeah.
I remember going back there again, right when, I remember going back a couple of years later, and I booked a hotel online, and it was just when you could start doing that. And when I showed up, I was like, I booked a place for tonight. She goes, well, I hadn't checked. We're fully booked. And I said,
And you're like, yes, I'm one of them.
I said, well, what am I going to do? And she goes, I don't know. I'll have to take you to another hotel. I remember like
wow.
I remember that being a part of it. But anyway,
That seems so ancient now.
yeah.
And it's not even.
I know.
Crazy.
But anyway, I've been going back there whenever I've got an opportunity since then. And since we've lived in France for 8 years, I think we've gone down there, I don't know, 5 times or something maybe. And we've always explored different bits. But this was the first time where I really had this urge to do what a lot of people in history of Paris, the Hemingways, F. Scott Fitzgerald, or even the artists who stayed there for longer, sometimes for their whole life. I wanted to understand that. I figure, like, let's see what the fuss about. If it's still something that people can do today, or if it's something that died out. Is it all rich jet setters? Will we belong at all as whatever the opposite of rich jet
Is
setters?
it just a film festival?
Yes. I wanted to figure it out, and that's what
Yeah.
we've done. And as we're down there, I think it's fair to say, pretty quickly we fell in love with it.
I mean, it was instant.
Over,
really.
yeah, I was going to say overnight. It was
Yeah.
really quick, and not just that.
It's hard not to. It's just beautiful, and the light and the colors. It's
Exactly.
just you can't avoid
And
it.
it's so different to Paris. But it just like within a couple days, we were walking around going, we need to share this. This needs to be
It's too
told.
good.
Not that we discovered or anything, but we need to tell it. And so what we did is we flew Augusta, the photographer, down, who was first time she'd been down there. She was equally captivated, and she nailed it. She nailed the project. Capture the Riviera. And you're gonna see beautiful pictures, colorful pictures. You know what? As I was looking through them now, the color that's down there is like nothing you see in Paris.
Yeah.
Firstly, the sea,
And
the Côte d'Azur.
especially coming out of winter in Paris, because all the buildings are grey and beige, and the sky is like white.
Here in Paris, yeah.
So everything's grey and beige, and then you just come down south, and it's like a rainbow.
And the colors, for anyone who's not been down there, the colors of like the old town of Nice, for example, like almost, how would you describe that? Like these buildings are like orange, like really.
Oh yeah, it's like a fruit salad.
Yeah, it is like a fruit salad. There isn't.
It's citrusy.
There is a town,
But it's
Monton, that
fresh,
has
it's
citrus.
zesty.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Mixed with the like aggressively blue sky and the turquoise water, and then because when I was going through Augusta, the photographer really captured details as well. So like the bright blue Ferrari, or the pink flowers, or the red cocktail. There's just a lot of color down there. We should get her thoughts on photographing it at some point too. But with all this in mind, all of us captivated, I was like, how do we turn this into content for the Earful Tower? There's going to be lots of blog posts and social media over the next couple of weeks. But for this episode, the overview, here are our 5 golden rules to help you visit it yourself. And I should say, all this sounds like the biggest advert ever. We're not being paid to do this by Riviera.com or whatever. We just truly think it's something that people should go and see. With that in mind, let's start with the easiest thing. Golden rule number 1. don't be intimidated to visit.
Now, what do we mean about that?
Well, it's twofold. The first fold is just getting there. I think a lot of people who come to France will come from America or Australia, for example, and just getting here is a big deal. Getting to Paris, where we're sitting now, that's a big deal. And then the idea of getting to
the other side of the country.
Yeah, how long does it take to get? Everyone's talking about taking a train there. How long does that take?
Getting on another flight.
So, like, this first fold of not being intimidated is to say that it's really easy to get there, but there's a few things to consider. First, the train is really simple.
Yeah. I mean, it's direct.
Super quick train down to the coastline, and then a really slow train that stops at what felt like every village.
Every single little house that calls itself a village.
And keeping in mind, if you do that and you're coming from abroad and you're bringing enormous suitcases, it's not like a flight. There's no one that's going to throw it on the train for you. You're on your own. There might not be... When we got to Antibes, there was no elevator working. We had to carry stuff up and down the steps. That'll probably be the same for you guys as well.
And it's full of commuters. So it's people who are really used to it. You know, they're very blasé about the whole thing. So they might not have a lot of time for you and your big suitcase collection.
Pack smart. Plus, if you're going in the summer, you don't need much stuff. Although we say this, we didn't pack smart because...
No, not at all. Especially not on the way back.
Lina got inspired, maybe after visiting the Picasso Museum.
Perhaps.
Started painting, but not like on a little postcard or anything.
No.
Painting something that was like
the size of a door.
And so then we had to take the train back, and you never think about where to put a door on a
horror. Yeah, it was not great. So speaking out of experience on
pack
this one.
smart, but also
don't get too inspired.
No. The other thing to mention is if you want, it's really simple to fly down there. I say this with a little asterisk next to it, because that's bad for the planet. We all know carbon footprint. If you walk everywhere and you feel less guilty about your carbon footprint, take the flight. And I can say once for a work thing, I did do that flight and went down there for the day. And you might feel a bit guilty, but if you have to do it, it's simple.
It's very doable. And the airport in Nice is so central. It takes like 10 minutes and then you're in central Nice.
10 minutes, you can take a cab even straight to your place
so easy.
in
so
15 minutes or
just
something.
A little side note.
So yeah, that was the first part of it. Don't be intimidated, because getting there is actually really easy. But the other intimidating thing, I think, for a lot of people is it really is... We said the jet set before.
Well, yeah, it's really connected with luxury.
Casinos, fancy hotels. You see
like
pictures of... You see like Jay-Z and Beyonce hanging down there on their yachts.
Yeah, it's ritzy, glitzy, glamorous.
And that is intimidating.
It can be.
I mean, some of the listeners might say, that's my tribe. What are you talking about? But I think most of us will say that's intimidating. And what I want to say is it's really easy to avoid all that.
Yeah, or not even avoid, but like embrace it, and you know, you can still experience it, but not pay the price tag.
Well said. You can embrace it. Like, you can walk among the luxury yachts.
Yeah, you can literally walk the red carpet in Cannes.
Yeah. Incidentally, I think that's one of the most overrated things to do.
Totally overrated. Yeah. But, you know,
people
some
lining
people
up.
might
I did it too.
find it iconic.
I did it the first time I was there, but you don't even get a good photo.
No. It's just a red carpet.
Yeah. But anyway, don't be intimidated. Lina said it really well there. You can embrace it. You can go to the casino or walk among the Ferraris. You can see how that luxurious life is lived, and you can get a little splash of it. Like, you can go to a really fancy place for a cocktail. It'll cost an arm and a leg, but you'll get a taste of it, and you'll get that glitz and glamour. But also, if you want to avoid it, down there it's full of nature as well. Hiking trails, beaches. So there you go. Don't be intimidated at all. Number 2, I've written here, pick your month. This is important. Yep. We did it perfectly.
I think so. It worked out really well.
April, incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it's not busy. The weather was great, way better than Paris. We had mostly really sunny days.
Yeah, a little bit cooler than obviously high season, but also you can find accommodation for like way cheaper.
Yeah. And
way
like
cheaper.
We swam maybe 2 or 3 times total. And if you're going to go there June, or let's say July, August, you would just be swimming, just like Gene Seberg in that movie. But pick your month, and what I think, like, you know, we don't live there full time, but the consensus seems to be April, maybe is even a bit early.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
but I was totally satisfied with it.
Yeah, maybe we were really lucky, but
perhaps. But also that people say May, June, September are kind of the golden times and July, August is when it's mad down there.
Yeah.
And I
It's
can imagine like the other good thing about being there in April, you can be wearing, I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt, walking the old streets of, let's say, Antibes or Nice with no one around. And I remember those towns from being there. We've been there in August as well. And you kind of...
No, you queue on the street.
Yeah, you queue in the street. Yeah. So pick your month, and if you can, get one of the summer months. I'm sure they're lovely in winter. Have we ever been there in winter?
No, I've heard that it doesn't even exist in winter.
Yeah, I think
it appears in April.
And we can talk about this. Kind of like how there's no definition of it. It doesn't even exist in the winter. No one knows where it is. It's like Narnia or something.
I know.
But I want to say there's this vibe with it, this ephemeral vibe that's really exciting. Something I find really exciting. Even what we said, it doesn't exist or you don't know where it is. Like when we went down there, we got a taxi to where we were staying, and the taxi driver had come down from Paris. He lived in Paris, but he's like, I'm here for the summer. And just that was exciting.
He's doing a season.
He's like, why? Yeah, why would... And that season, like the people working on yachts, the famous rich people getting off those yachts and coming into the town, this all just starts picking up. And it's very different to Paris or any other big city everyone's used to. Whereas in Paris, there's monuments that have been...
I mean, it all just continues here. Like, all the time, more or less.
Yeah.
Whereas down there, it just suddenly... It blossoms.
Yeah.
And then it dies. And then it blossoms.
Yeah. And
it's
there's
amazing.
that exciting feeling about it. You want to be there. If you're there in April, things are opening. They're excited to greet the tourist.
Yeah, you don't want to miss it.
Yeah, and then at the end, it's going to disappear again. Like the perfect nightclub or something. It's just going to close at some hour and you have to go do something else. So there you go. It's exciting. You want to get there, but there's a risk. You might break golden rule number 3.
Which is?
Don't bite off too much.
Yeah.
And we know people that do this. And the best,
Definitely.
and what I mean is, you get excited to go down there.
We've been these people as well.
We usually are these people.
So we know what we're talking about.
If you look at our honeymoon around France, or even our countdown season here,
there is no too much.
No, but what I mean is, a lot of people, especially I think in America, I don't think you get much holiday each year. Maybe you get 2 weeks or something. Some people less even. And so you go, I'm going to the Riviera for 5 days. I'm going to stay in 5 different cities or 5 different villages. But that's wrong.
Yeah.
You're even saying I'm 3 days in Nice, 3 days in Monaco, 2 days in Antibes.
Yeah, you're just adding a stress to the whole experience. Whereas I feel like the whole vibe of the Riviera is like you take a step back and you take it easy, and it's kind of ruining that energy a little bit.
Yeah,
if you're jumping around too much.
Because it is a slower pace down there as
Definitely.
well. And what I've put like a slash here: don't bite off too much. Base yourself somewhere. Pick somewhere.
Become a local.
Even
if it's just for one day.
This is something I've talked about on the show about in Paris. People that come and stay in the same arrondissement and stay there for, I don't know, 6-8 days or whatever. It is so in your interests, and I found it down there as well, to become a local somewhere straight away. Go in for a coffee, make it known that you're there for a week or 2 weeks or whatever. Just literally say, hey, this place is great. We're here for the next 2 weeks. See you tomorrow if you like it. And then by day 3 or 4, they'll be like, hey, Oliver, another flat white today? And you'll be like, you bet, I'm in. And that's what we did. We picked a base, Antibes, and we got to understand the vibe of that town in that on certain days there was markets. On certain days it was much quieter. On some it just had a flow to it that we could suddenly understand. And knowing we were there for a little bit longer, there was no rush to go to the Picasso Museum. Yeah. Because it would be there tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And if it wasn't a perfect day for the beach,
that's fine.
Go and do something else. Yeah. So that made a nice big difference. And then if it was, we'd be like, hey, let's go to Monaco in 2 days. Let's plan it out and do it nicely. So I can highly recommend that, and I can highly recommend Antibes. Because how did we pick that? Do you remember why you picked Antibes?
No. I can't really remember. I mean, we have some family friends who recommended it, and I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, psst, have you heard a secret about the Riviera? Yeah. It's this place. It's Antibes.
It feels it's the jewel, it's the pearl of the Riviera, for me at least. Yeah. And I think what a lot of people would like about it is it's got a real nice mix of that old town vibe that sort of Nice is maybe famous for, or a lot of those other little dotted villages. But it also has that luxurious side because there are a lot of super, like, what do they call them? Super yachts.
Super yachts, yeah.
Like moored up along that along the beach in the marina there. So there's kind of something for everyone. Plus ramparts.
Yeah, plus ramparts.
It is a medieval city.
But yeah, it's small enough that it feels genuine and not too touristy, and well, depending on the season, I guess. But yeah, it's a good mix.
And you know what I'll add to what we said about becoming a local? If you do only have 5 days down there and you want to explore a lot, you can still do that coffee thing that I said, but just go in there in the morning before you leave. It'll add a dimension. It's the same. When you're in Paris, you go to the same shop or market or whatever, and people tell me this, they come back 2 years later and they find the same coffee shop owner or whatever, and it makes a difference. It makes you feel more at home. So can recommend. Tip, golden rule number 4. Rethink your concept of distance.
That sounds very broad.
Yeah. Well, I think if you're used to big city life, or we can compare it to Paris because this show is about Paris and we live here. If you look on the map or the Google map or Apple Maps, whatever you use, a 1 hour walk in Paris and a 1 hour walk in the south of France does not correlate to the same driving distance, for example. So to drive an hour walk in Paris maybe takes half an hour, or who knows. Whereas in Antibes to, say, Juan-les-Pins, the town next to it, can take like 6 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So we were we had to reevaluate. It was weird. We reevaluated everything, and that's a walk you don't really want to do either. Because the reason is there's a highway between them.
There's a highway, and it's not like there's nothing to see or do.
No traffic.
Really.
There's no people.
Yeah.
On a sort of grander scale, we really wanted to go to Saint-Tropez, but it was really hard to get to. Even if
it's much further
Yeah.
away from, because otherwise all of these little villages and cities like Nice and Cannes and Antibes, Juan-les-Pins, they all kind of connected. They have, they're basically connected. But
sometimes they're connected with a quick highway, and then sometimes they're connected with a zigzagging road up a mountain. So it might look next door on the map, but it might be unwalkable, or it might take ages, and there might be traffic, especially if you're in the high season or whatever. So you got to rethink everything and take nothing for granted. And the slash I put on this one was get wheels.
Yeah, consider getting wheels.
Yeah, we got scooters.
Yeah.
Did we? I think Antibes was where we went. You know what? In my book, Paris on Air, I told that story of having the scooter where we went through the thunderstorm.
Definitely.
We went to Antibes.
Yeah.
That's where it got on our radar. There you go. Figured our answer out there. But if you dare taking a scooter, it can be really nice and chill driving along the roads there. Coastal, just brilliant.
It's
really
very drivable.
And if you don't dare getting a scooter, get an e-bike, get a bicycle, or rent a car. It'll really open up.
Or take a taxi.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Think about wheels. Get wheels. The scooters are the scooter could change your life. Did for me. Number 5 is not all about the superstars.
And what do we mean about the superstars?
I know what you're thinking.
Celine Dion?
Yeah. Celine Dion? Is that what you want?
Yeah, that's where I go when I think the superstars.
I was thinking Owen Wilson. They're both
really weird choices.
But we don't mean the actors and actresses and singers and all these guys that are actually down there. We're talking about the places. I think a lot of people will say, I'm going to the Riviera, got to go to Nice, got to go to Cannes, got to go to the Monaco Casino.
Yeah.
All these things, great. They're all good. But it's kind of like in Paris with just the Eiffel Tower, Musée d'Orsay, whatever, the Louvre. Our tip is go 1 or 2 steps beyond that and your whole mind will be blown. For example, one place that we went and took pictures of that we'll share, La Turbie. La Turbie, weird name. An old, it's got Roman ruins up on the top, like... just that is incredible. But the town next to it, one of the most beautiful I've ever seen.
Teeny tiny.
Just beautiful. And people were so calm and were chatting to us as they stroked their cats.
Yeah, we're chatting to the locals. And it's very friendly.
Having said that, Biot, Biot, another village near Antibes, paradise.
Yeah.
Just stunning little...
And these are not coastal towns.
No.
Or villages.
No.
They're a little bit more inland, but so close.
What, you want something to do on the coast?
Sure.
The Villa Kerylos. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. But the Greek-inspired villa that was one of the most...
Insanely stunning.
Yeah. Stunning.
Such a destination. I had never heard of it.
You want to be outside? That's
Yes.
okay. Do the walk from...
Cap Antibes.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Cap Antibes walk was... You know, I would love to tell this story in full at some point, but we walked this incredible coastal track, and then as we got closer to the middle of it, there was this deep sort of drumming sound. I thought it was jungle drums. And then it just got louder and louder as we were hiking. And we turned a corner and there was this full-blown rave going on in the middle of the day.
It was like half in a cave by the water and these like jagged rocks, and it was incredible.
Unfortunately, we had our young son with us. Otherwise, I would have been raving.
Oh, yeah.
I would have been raving.
People were throwing paint as well, remember?
Oh, yeah.
It's like paint powder. It was amazing.
Yeah. So there's the point is, it's don't feel the need that you need to chase the superstar things. Like I enjoyed all those things that we just said more than Cannes.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
So there's plenty to experience. I'm going to share it all in blog posts and social media over the next couple of weeks. But that's essentially our gloss over of the French Riviera.
Mini introduction.
And I'll work on that reading list because there's some great books
Definitely.
to read down there. Also, we'll share all these pictures from Augusta. But we'll leave you with some music from Press Maxon. I said it before, I just want to touch on it again. For those of you who are Patreon members, I'd put out a survey a while back saying, do you want the CD that goes with the countdown season? That CD is finished. He has it. He showed me some pictures. It hasn't come to us yet in Paris.
It looks good.
But what I did is we produced enough CDs for everyone that asked for one, and maybe a few left over. So I'll be sharing about that in the coming days. Hopefully you're all Patreon members already, because that is how you get all the benefits of this show. Patreon.com/The Earful Tower. That'll do for us. Lina, thanks for being on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
If you want to find everything that we're going to be talking about and sharing in the coming weeks, theearfultower.com/Riviera. It'll all be there. That'll help you guys who are listening 5 years in the future too. theearfultower.com/Riviera. That'll do for us. And take it away, Press Maxon.